What is your number one recommendation for any agent that they can do to make the biggest impact in their agency moving forward?
Pick a process that provides you leverage, and that would mean staffing, and reinvest. Just reinvest and find something that's scalable that you can duplicate yourself.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Right now, while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
We took our notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies led Craig and I to selling more than $10 million in premium in the last 2 years.
On this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the same results.
Just go to live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
If you jump on this call with us, we're certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.
We had a guy that he was struggling last couple months. He's been with us for like 3 years. He's just pretty much over the sales, quoting 8 people a day. And he had a side business that was doing pretty well, but he's been working for us full time. He came to me like less than a week ago and basically said, he's kind of burnt and all this stuff. And he's got this side gig. And I just talked to him. I talked him out of working for me. Like I was like, go all in on that. If that's starting to do well now, like there's no reason to split your time. Like just go all in on it. Like, especially now if it's, yeah.
And that's a perfect example of an abundance mentality.
Yeah.
Instead of doing everything you can to try to keep him when he's not happy, it's just, that's a lot of energy and from both of you.
Yeah.
He's not getting the numbers that he wants at the agency. He's not getting the numbers that I want at the agency. I don't like this whole struggling thing. I don't like the whole, I don't want to push somebody so hard. It's like, there's got to be a drive for them. If they've lost that drive, then cool, go where your drive is,
Right.
Like that only and I told him, I said, dude, I want you to dominate. Like, because he was talking about possibly even getting another job or something. I said, dude, just go all in on your thing, man. Like that's your thing. Go all in. I want you to succeed. I want you to dominate. Like, I'll be so stoked if you came from our agency for 3 years and you did your thing and you crushed it. Like,
right.
And I think that your experience with training people and seeing that it works, and it's the same thing with me. I didn't have a lot of confidence in this whole thing to begin with, but now that I've seen that I can take 2 people who had no experience and I say this, do this, do this, and it actually works. Now I know I can duplicate it. So I'm not scared. If one of these guys leaves, then I'm not scared because I know I can find other people and I can train them and get them to do the same thing.
it is funny. That alone is the difference between the agency owner that's worried about all the carriers' changes, right? Because they feel scared because they don't have, they feel like if there's changes and stuff, it's going to throw everything out. They don't have the like the confidence like you do now, where it's like you feel, and I know you do, where you can just bring just about anybody in, and if they have that drive, you could get them to the finish line.
Yep.
Right. And
Absolutely.
that alone, that is the best feeling. That's the assurance that you have as an agency owner or as a business owner, that like, that's the confidence. Now you don't need the confidence from the big carrier because you got it in you. You're like, I could sell shoelaces tomorrow. Like, that's what I always say. Our agency could sell shoelaces tomorrow and be successful just because they've got we've got the process down. We got the skills. Our team has the skills. We know that we can train someone in. That's a good feeling.
We put processes in the places we can control, right? And then that feeds the abundance.
And again, it's about
the flip. Yeah.
And it's about doing the things that other people don't like to do. Like one of the things that I'll just say it. One of the things I can't stand doing is listening to calls.
Right.
For whatever reason, I hate doing that, but I do it. It's painful.
Mm-hmm.
It's really painful, but you got to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember one time you mentioned, listen to some calls when you're gone for a few days, and it's like, oh no.
You're like, what? how did that even come out of their mouth? Right.
Right.
Like just,
Yeah.
It's
and
like-
just rolling over and surrendering, so easily. That's one of the things we're working on right now is, in fact, I made him watch a bunch of pickup line recordings from Miguel because I go, you guys are giving up too early, on the transfers. So,
and then that ties in with the meetings, right? If we don't have the meetings every day, then that happens. And I think it still is going to happen, but it's like there's a greater likelihood it won't, right? Because we're tending to that whole thing by having the meetings. But if we don't, it's trying to beat. I mean, it's a law of physics. Is if you don't put energy into something, it's going to fall apart into chaos, right?
absolutely.
Right.
That's not the right words, but it's something along that line.
Well, and
right?
and
Is it entropy?
Yeah, it's the second law of thermodynamics is what it is, right? It's like if you don't put energy into it, it's going to fall apart.
yeah.
In essence.
And that's why I subscribe to, several different training platforms and including yours. And I just make sure that every day, 15, 20 minutes a day, you've got to be doing watching a training of some kind and working on your craft every day, no matter what.
You got to. Doctors and dentists, they call it a practice, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
So I went to a lot of Padre games over the years, and I'd go early, and Tony Gwynn would hit probably 100 balls off a tee every day. Off a tee.
Wow.
You mean a golf tee or like
a tee-ball.
Padres.
T-ball tee? Yeah.
Yeah, and he would just go over to a net.
I know
and
what the
just,
Padres are.
so
It's not foosball.
no. But
Yeah,
So-
that's pretty cool.
Besides listening to this podcast, how do you keep yourself motivated? Which is a joke.
Or is it?
What keeps me motivated now is seeing my staff grow and get better.
Yeah.
And then every day same thing as everybody else. I read books, I watch videos. I listen to another podcast called Coaching for Leaders. It's not insurance specific, but he brings in CEOs from, people that you've heard of. Because his mantra is leaders are not born, they're made.
100%.
And yeah, that's when this whole thing started, I said, I got to be a leader. So I started reading books on leadership and what have you. And I'm just, and the funny thing is the same people that I'm listening to are doing the same thing. They're learning from everybody else too.
Well,
Everything is the same. It's all the same stuff.
it's just
Right.
like you're saying about like listening to calls and everything, right? We don't feel like nobody wakes up and says, I feel like being a leader today, every day. Some days you're good, but some days you're tired and you don't want to do it. And if you don't have the fuel, if you're not listening to other people that are doing that stuff, it's really easy to not do it that day. And once you don't do it that day, then it's really easy to not do it the next day and continue that. And next thing it's much harder to continue than it is. Like, it's really easy to quit doing it. I don't care if you've been leading every day for years. It's really easy to fall off and not do it. Right.
Yeah, definitely. But
But
I
awesome,
have a
man.
routine. I walk my dogs every night between 9 and 10, and I listen to podcasts the whole time. So
There you go.
It's my time. But
I love that.
Any books? You reading a book right now? What book are you reading?
I am reading a book, and I don't remember the name of it. It's from the guy who turned around Etna. But let's see,
Ooh.
figure it out. I don't have my iPad with me.
Do you do
I'll let
Kindle?
you know. Yeah, I do Kindle on my
Yeah.
iPad, but I don't.
You do need a Kindle for the beach because you can't watch it on your iPad or read a book. It's all weird. with
What's the beach?
sunglasses.
So
It's far away right now.
yeah, 4 miles, and I haven't been to it all summer.
You need to get down there, man.
I do. I haven't been in the water for a
One
long,
paddle
long
out.
time.
I mean, the water at this time of the year in San Diego actually gets somewhat warm.
It's about 71 right now.
That's like a jacuzzi for San Diego.
Not bad.
Yeah. I have a book that Jason shared with me and our ops guy at Teledudes called The Road Less Stupid, and I really like it. It's
really good.
It's really
Road Less
really
Stupid.
good. Yeah,
Okay.
Road Less Stupid, and his point of view is really funny. Like, it's good.
There's
think
there's
I think the
some
one
good
book
stuff.
that how to win friends and influence people is to,
Yeah.
and is to me the best foundational business book ever written,
Yeah.
and for life. I mean, everybody needs to read that book.
Yeah.
100%.
And read
And
it
even going back to the leader conversation, especially for those of us that are parents, right? Because all this stuff really comes back to, how we are at home. And I mean, Craig and I can both attest to this, is that when the home life is tough, it's hard at business, right? And when the vice versa,
That's
know what I
very
mean?
timely of you, Jason.
It happens, So it's like,
Yeah, I'm in the winter of the seasons of that right now. And it's cold.
Oh no.
he's got
It'll
a
get
shawl
better.
on.
It'll get better. It'll get better.
So, Steve, and I know you're in California. I'm in California with the carrier that we're with. This question is funny because we're in the midst of it. But going even more into the future, what do you think some of the biggest changes are that are going to be affecting our agencies as a whole, regardless of carrier, for us in the insurance space?
I see consolidation, condensing. I see fewer agents, larger agencies. I think the old model of the agent who is absent and unengaged is going to go away. And I think that the people who embrace the sales and scalability and are willing to spend some money and take some risk, I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed.
I'm very optimistic about the future.
Yeah. More opportunity.
Yeah, there's going to be more opportunity, but you just can't keep doing what you've always done, because if it's going to pass you by.
Yeah.
So,
that's what Ferris Bueller said.
That's true, and we've been winning from Wawanesa and Geico and some of these direct writers. We're winning this business back.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's I can't tell you how many deck pages I see from people with net worths. And I think I told you about the one of my longtime clients' daughter married for lack of a better word, a hedge fund manager, owns a house free and clear in La Jolla that's worth $7 million. And he had Geico when they got married. I said, let me see his deck page. He had 1530 on his Range Rover.
I think, and hedge fund managers make a little bit over minimum wage, right?
Just a little bit.
just a smidge.
Yeah, he's got a condo in Miami and with a Bentley, and dollar signs everywhere, and he had minimum limits. So
is it 15 there?
It's 1535. Only 5,000 in property damage.
Wow. It's gonna go. That goes over
it's 2550
really well in California.
Here. 2550 here. Yeah. They
What's the
changed
minimum
it last
on
year.
property?
I'm going to have to defer to my operations manager on that.
Yeah. But I think that the big thing is, if you don't sell on price, if you focus on coverages, then you're going to win.
Yeah.
It is funny because that's not even a insurance concept. That is a marketing concept, right? Mm-hmm. The only way to win on price is to be the absolute lowest. And if you're the second lowest, you have absolutely no advantage or anything. Your feet get swept out from you. But there's a ton of advantage of being the most expensive.
I had my doctor tell me one time, he goes, I don't know what we were talking about. He goes, you can drive an Accord or you can drive a BMW. They'll both get you to point A the same way, but there are plenty of people who are willing to spend more because they like the experience of getting the point A in the BMW. And it's the same thing here.
Yep.
So you just got to, I look at it, they call it prospecting. I imagine a miner with a pan of dirt, and he's got to scoop all those dirts and rocks to find the nuggets. And that's the same thing here. You just got to, and that's what, with this 50% down, that's what I told my staff. I said, it's okay. You just need to more at bats. You're just going to have to quote that much more. And then I do have them, I told them that they needed to start generating their own centers of influence. So I sat down with each of them, and they get 1 hour a week to go out and visit leasing agents and realtors or what have you, so they can start generating their own centers of influence. Because I told them, I said, you need to think about having an agency within my agency.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So, they're spending 39 hours a week working internet leads, but right. I want at least 1 hour a week where, what I did, like with Curtis, I said, what's your address? Here's the office. and we found 12 apartment complexes. And it said, so you're going to hit every Friday morning. You're going to leave the house at 9, and you're going to go hit 3 different ones each week, and then circle back and hit them again, and just keep doing it over and over and again. You don't need to bring them any food. Just tell them that you want to help them close leases faster, and tell them you don't mind being second on their list. That's okay, because a lot of them, they're supposed to sell it with renter's insurance or what have you. But just keep after it, and you'll start getting business from it. And do you make much money on renters? No, but hey, it's an opportunity. Now you can quote everything else. So
love it,
because to get to 100 items a month just on internet leads, that's going to be pretty tough. And that's
the math behind it.
Yeah, but if they can start getting some referrals, then that will create some leverage for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
love it. Cool. So what is your number one recommendation for any agent that they can do to make the biggest impact in their agency moving forward?
Pick a process that provides you leverage, and that would mean staffing, and reinvest. Just reinvest and find something that's scalable that you can duplicate yourself. And be brave. Don't be afraid. Be brave and trust the process. And that's what I did when I sold life insurance. I would I had an X amount of dials I had to do every night if I didn't have appointments, and I made all the dials, and once I made all my dials, and I went home, and I felt good about it because I knew I did everything I could.
Yep.
And
that's what at Merrill Lynch, I did that. I had a jar with pennies in it. I can't remember how many. It was 500 or 600, whatever. Every dial, I'd put a penny in the other one until the other one was full.
Yep. And that's
the old kind of CRM in the old days. That's what the CRM was.
Yeah, but nice. I fed my family for 13 years just selling just life insurance. So
this is a tough one.
Cool.
This is easier.
Yeah,
this is easier. I'm telling you, it's easier.
The difference is the microtransactions, right? You have to just do a lot in order to create that, but then it stacks. You can make it through 3, 4, 5 years. It really
the first agency owner that I bought from, he had a saying that it said nickels and dimes add up to dollars, and he was right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm a little concerned about some of the quality of the business that we write. So one of the things that I mentioned this morning is the cleanup artist, and that's me. So I'm making a point to every piece of business at about the 4-week mark. I'm calling the client. I'm looking at what's been written. I'm looking for gaps. I'm looking for mistakes, and I'm looking for cross-sell opportunities. I'm reaching out to these customers, and they seem really surprised that I called them. So eventually I want to get somebody else to do that, but for right now it's me. But it's only about 5 calls a day, so it's not that bad.
So good. Increase the value of your clients, right? Increase that or average cart value.
But I'm trying to figure out how to get away from the single car auto, 24-year-old single car auto stuff, because there's a little bit more of that in the book than I am comfortable with right now. So I don't know the answer to that, but it's still growth. It's still growth.
Yeah.
It's revenue.
You can filter out the age too. Get it to over 30. Yeah.
I probably could. Yeah. It's not, it's not.
Or married.
It's not horrible right now. It's just that it's something I'm aware of.
Yeah. Right.
I don't want the loss ratio to go through the roof.
Right.
Not to keep throwing Kindle on the fire here and keep this thing going, because I know we're up against the wall here. But is the 4-week call the only call that you make, or is there like a 24-hour, 48, first week, any other piece of the cadence that you have going, or just that 4-week call?
No, not for me. There isn't. The LSP has a responsibility to make a follow-up call and handwritten thank you note. I make sure.
And you track it. There's accountability behind it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. We use eAgent and for that, because it tells you onboarding process.
Yep.
So I'm watching that, making sure
an
that
incredible
those are getting
piece
done.
of technology. Incredible.
So, it has its place.
It does.
So.
Remember when it was eBridge?
Yes. Yeah.
It didn't work very well.
No. But that and then that's really the onboarding, is just making sure that, that the staff is, because they're talking to them anyway, because half the time they got to call them again because they didn't sign something or send a document in or what have you.
Yeah.
So, but I just started the cleanup artist role 2 weeks ago, and it's already paying off. And I found some things. I found somebody who didn't put waiver of collision on a policy, so corrected that. It's amazing what you find, right?
When you inspect what you expect, then you'll definitely find some stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, you definitely need to. I mean, the whole sales cycle is an entire. It's more than just letting people in the door. It's letting people in the door, helping them throughout the process. I think it's a disservice to not try to sell them other products because other people are going to. Why not you?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important. That whole process is incredibly important.
And one of the things I'm doing when I make these calls is, I'll just say, hey, have you taken care of your life insurance yet? That's all I say, and then I shut up, and it's already leading to some good activity there. So
Awesome.
So
the way we ask the questions creates how they answer, right? You could say, "Do you want some life insurance?" What's the answer? No, right?
No.
But you ask it the way that you did. They pause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they'll say no, or I have it at work, or whatever, and then now you're in a conversation. Well, how much coverage do you have? I don't know.
Right. I have it at work. When your current agent did it, when your current agent reviewed that, did they make sure that it's transferable?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Right. What happens if you leave? I don't know.
Right. It's a quick. As soon as you get them like second guessing, then it's But
it's
they usually
amazing.
Don't have enough, right? It's like nobody has enough.
It's just amazing how people that you really respect, I mean, highly educated people with 6-figure incomes, and you ask them a simple question about their coverages and they have no idea.
Right.
Yeah, I should be able to shake you in the middle of the night and you should be able to tell me I got 250, 500.
Well, they trust their agents, and most agents don't explain a lot to them or go really fast over numbers like 1535 where that's what is that, right? It just sounds like code to somebody who's not in the industry. So I mean, I think that's our competitive advantage. I mean, use all those things to your advantage.
That's why Go ahead.
It's amazing how it seems like when I talk to people, their biggest concern about their policy is what their deductible is.
Right.
Right.
100%.
It's and I had a conversation with a woman the other day. I said, if you increase your deductible, you can go from $1,530 to $250, $500, and your rate will be $5 a month difference. She wouldn't do it. She has a $50 deductible on collision, and she would not go to 1,000. And I said, why wouldn't you trade a risk of 50 or 100 or 200,000 out of pocket for 500 or 1,000 out of pocket? Again, there's that scarcity mentality, she's more concerned about not being able to get her car out of the shop than she is about losing the condo that she owns free and clear.
Right. It's crazy.
And it's funny because they say everybody's a perfect driver. And the only time that you're going to, well, I guess if somebody doesn't have insurance and they hit you, but typically collision is going to be a result of your fault, right?
Right.
So you're a perfect driver, but you want to make sure that if you crash, that you don't pay anything, but you're not concerned if you're 200,000 short when you hit somebody and hurt them.
Right. I rarely drive more than a couple miles from home. Well, guess what?
Well, great. Happens. Then have a $2,500 deductible since you never drive and you don't get in accidents. And let's actually protect you in the one time that you have your worst day ever.
Right.
It's just wild.
I was driving up to Big Bear a couple months ago, and we were driving through this area called Mentone. And we're just driving along, and these two guys literally stumble out of a bar and into the road in front of us, and I'm doing 50. And I slammed on my brakes, and I stopped about 10 feet from them.
Wow.
And then they flipped me off.
Your fault.
But, I mean, I literally, it's like my life flashed before my eyes. We got up to the house in Big Bear, and I'm just laying in bed that night going, oh, my God, that would have just been horrible. And it was just that quick. That's amazing. I never saw them coming. All of a sudden, they were in. One guy was helping the other guy. He couldn't walk. And it was a bar that, the door was right to the sidewalk, so they just literally stumbled down into this 45-mile-an-hour zone in the pitch black dark.
Holy moly.
And it reminded me how quick things can change.
Your
You know?
entire life can change, especially if the
100%.
coverage isn't there.
Yep.
Well,
crazy.
Mr. Steve Hovland, it has been incredible to have you on here, even though there's half of your face right now, but that's fine. But it's always good to see you, and I love seeing you every week at the big meeting. And
Well, I can't wait to meet you guys in person.
Yeah.
You
I know,
will.
finally.
Yeah, I think I saw Jason, I think I saw you. Were you at Coronado for honoring about 2-3 years ago?
I was supposed to be, and
I saw you somewhere.
I got little kids. My youngest just turned 3, so I think that it was like 1.
Is you
we used to
there?
not
Or
sleep.
did you go to Terranea? Maybe one of those places I saw you.
There was one place in San Diego. It wasn't Coronado. It was different. It was a different one. It was probably at that one, but that was.
I went to
that
the
was years
Coronado
ago.
one.
It's before
Did you?
the 2020s.
That was like 5 years ago.
It was
4 or 5 years ago.
it was just before COVID, about 3 years ago.
so
it was-
crazy.
It
Yeah.
was California honoring, so I don't know if I
Oh
would have been there or
no,
not.
it wasn't honor ring then. It was I don't
You
know.
probably had a regional.
some trip. Yeah, it's some trip. I went. It's the last trip
Yeah.
I've gone to. I don't need.
Yeah.
Meh. Meh.
So
Cool.
all right. Well, again,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks again, and keep it up.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you, Steve.
So,
Thank
all
you.
right, guys. Have a good one.
See ya.
Hey, what are you still doing here?
Well, while you're still here and while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
Yeah, if you weren't listening before, we took notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies did help Craig and I write over 10 million in premium in the last couple years.
And let me tell you, on this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the very same results.
Again, that's live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
And if you jump on with us, we are certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.